December 7, 1941. 8:06 a.m. A single bomb falls through the Arizona's deck. 4 seconds later, 1.5 million pounds of gunpowder explodes. The fireball rises 500 feet. The shock wave flips men overboard. In 9 minutes, 1,177 sailors are dead, more than half of all American casualties at Pearl Harbor. The USS Arizona didn't sink into the abyss. She rests in just 40 feet of water, close enough to touch, shallow enough to see, but too sacred to disturb. For 83 years, she's remained exactly where she died, a tomb, a memorial, a warning, and inside her shattered hull, the remains of 1,102 sailors who never came home. USS Arizona, BB-39, was a Pennsylvania-class battleship commissioned in October 1916. At 608 feet long and displacing 31,400 tons, she was one of the most powerful warships in the U.S. Pacific Fleet. On December 7, 1941, during the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, Arizona was moored at Battleship Row alongside Ford Island. At approximately 8:06 a.m., a 1,160-pound armor-piercing bomb penetrated her deck near Turret 2 and detonated in the forward powder magazines. The catastrophic explosion destroyed the forward section of the ship and killed 1,177 of her 512-man crew, the greatest loss of life on any ship during the Pearl Harbor attack. The wreck remains in Pearl Harbor at a depth of approximately 12 meters, 40 feet, serving as a war grave and the foundation for the USS Arizona Memorial, dedicated in 1962. USS Arizona was built at the New York Navy Yard and launched in 1915 as part of America's standard-type battleship program. Her specifications made her a formidable weapon. Length, 608 feet, 185 meters. Beam, 97 feet. Displacement, 31,400 tons standard, 37,654 tons fully loaded. 12 14-inch guns in 4 triple turrets, 22 5-inch secondary guns. Maximum speed, 21 knots after modernization. In 1929, Arizona underwent major modernization, new tripod masts, repositioned secondary guns, upgraded main turret elevation to 30 degrees, increasing range, and more powerful turbines. She represented the pinnacle of World War I-era battleship design. For 25 years, Arizona served with distinction, training exercises, fleet maneuvers, goodwill cruises to South America and the Mediterranean. She was a symbol of American naval power, a floating fortress designed to dominate any ocean battlefield. But on December 7, 1941, she became something else. A tomb. If you're captivated by this story of America's most famous warship grave, hit that like button and subscribe, because what remains inside the Arizona is both heartbreaking and sacred. December 6, 1941. USS Arizona sat peacefully at Battleship Row, moored alongside Ford Island in Pearl Harbor. It was a quiet Saturday evening. Most of the crew was ashore on liberty or sleeping. The ship's band had performed at a Battle of the Bands competition the night before. They'd won second place. Sunday morning, December 7th. The crew began stirring at dawn. Breakfast preparations, morning watch changes, routine maintenance. By 7:55 a.m., many sailors were gathering for morning colors, the daily flag-raising ceremony scheduled for 8 a.m. Then, at 7:55 a.m., the air raid sirens screamed. Japanese aircraft, dive bombers, torpedo planes, and fighters swarmed over Pearl Harbor. The first wave struck Battleship Row with devastating precision, Torpedoes slammed into Oklahoma, West Virginia, and California. Bombs rained down on Nevada, Tennessee, and Maryland. Arizona's crew scrambled to battle stations. Anti-aircraft guns opened fire. The ship's massive 14-inch guns were useless. They couldn't elevate high enough to engage aircraft. Men ran to their posts, many still in pajamas or underwear. At 8:06 a.m., a Japanese Nakajima B-5N bomber from the carrier Kaga approached from the south at 10,000 feet. Bombardier Noboru Kanai released a single 1,160-pound armor-piercing bomb, converted from a 16-inch battleship shell. The bomb fell for 11 seconds. .0806 Mirror. The bomb struck Arizona's deck between Turret 1 and Turret 2, just forward of the bridge. 080604. The bomb penetrated multiple decks and detonated in or near the forward powder magazines, where over 1 million pounds of smokeless powder and high explosive shells were stored. The explosion was apocalyptic. A fireball erupted 500 feet into the sky, higher than the ship was long. The blast wave flipped men off nearby ships like rag dolls. Windows shattered across Ford Island half a mile away. The shock was felt 15 miles away. Arizona's forward section, everything forward of the mainmast, disintegrated. Turrets I and II, weighing hundreds of tons each, were blown off their mounts. The bridge, conning tower, and forward superstructure collapsed into a crater of twisted steel. The ship's band, 21 musicians gathered for morning colors, were vaporized instantly. Hundreds of men sleeping in forward berthing compartments never woke up. Engine room crews, trapped below decks as watertight doors sealed automatically, drowned as the forward hull flooded. At 8:08 a.m., 2 minutes after the explosion, Arizona's foremast collapsed forward, crashing onto the deck in a cloud of smoke and flame. By 8:15 a.m., Arizona had settled on the harbor bottom, her forward section submerged, her stern and midships still above water, burning uncontrollably. Oil fires raged for 2 days. Of 1,512 men aboard, 177 died. Only 335 survived, most blown clear of the ship or stationed aft where they could escape. Rear Admiral Isaac C. Kidd, commander of Battleship Division 1, was killed on Arizona's bridge, the first U.S. flag officer killed in World War II. Captain Franklin Van Valkenburg, Arizona's commanding officer, died at his post. Both were posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor. The ship was declared constructive total loss. She would never sail again. For 83 years, USS Arizona has rested exactly where she died, in 40 feet of water in Pearl Harbor. Unlike deep ocean wrecks, she's close enough to touch, visible from the surface on clear days. But she's also a war grave, protected by law, sacred ground where 102 sailors remain entombed. Limited surveys and memorial construction have revealed what lies beneath the waterline, a frozen moment of catastrophe, preserved in the warm Hawaiian waters. As we descend past 5 meters, the sunlight filters through Pearl Harbor's murky green water. Visibility is limited. Sediment, algae, and decades of harbor activity cloud the view. At 10 meters, we reach the seafloor. At 12 meters, we touch the hull. This isn't the abyss, this is shallow water. Warm, life-filled but haunted. The wreck sits on soft mud, listing slightly to port. And above, the memorial floats anchored to the superstructure, a bridge between the living and the dead. And then, the shape emerges. The shattered remains of USS Arizona spread across the harbor floor, 608 feet of twisted steel, broken dreams, and silent sacrifice. The forward section is a crater. Where Turret 1 and Turret 2 once stood, there's only a gaping wound, a 40-foot wide cavity blown open from the inside. Deck plating is peeled back like torn paper. Steel beams jut upward at impossible angles. This is where 1,177 men died in 9 minutes. The midships and stern sections remain relatively intact, though listing to port. The mainmast, once towering 100 feet above the deck, now sits broken, partially submerged. Turret 3 and Turret 4, the aft gun turrets, remain in place, their massive 14-inch guns silent, barrels pointed skyward through the water. Most haunting, the ship still bleeds. To this day, approximately 1 quart of oil per day leaks from Arizona's fuel tanks. Black tears that float to the surface, visible to visitors at the memorial. Over 500,000 gallons remain trapped inside the hull, slowly seeping out. A reminder that even after 83 years, the ship hasn't stopped dying. But one item stands out. The ship's bell, recovered in 1961 during memorial construction, resting now at the USS Arizona Memorial Visitor Center. A silent witness to the moment everything changed, this bell rang for every watch change aboard Arizona. It tolled for general quarters during drills. It rang at 7:55 a.m. on December 7, 1941, when the air raid sirens sounded, and minutes later it fell silent, submerged, entombed, forgotten for 20 years. When divers recovered the bell in 1961, it was corroded, covered in marine growth, barely recognizable. But after restoration, it rang again, not to call sailors to duty, but to remember those who never answered the final call. In the shallow waters of Pearl Harbor, just 40 feet below the surface, USS Arizona tells her story without a single word. Steel corrodes, paint fades, oil seeps, but memory endures. 1,177 men rest here. Teenagers who lied about their age to enlist. Fathers with families back home. Musicians who played one final concert. Officers who died at their posts. They're still aboard Arizona. 102 of them never recovered, forever entombed in the ship they served. The memorial above isn't just architecture, it's a bridge, spanning the gap between December 6th, when these men were alive, laughing, playing cards, writing letters home, and December 7th when they became ghosts. Arizona didn't sink into the abyss. She rests where everyone can see her. A reminder that war isn't glorious, it's sudden, it's violent, it's final, and it leaves wounds that never fully heal. Every day oil rises from her hull. Every day visitors stand above her grave. Every day 1,177 sailors remain 19 years old, 22, 35, frozen at the moment they died. They didn't get to grow old. They didn't get to go home. They're still here waiting for relief that will never come. If this story of sacrifice and memory moved you, honor the 1,177 men of USS Arizona by sharing their story. Hit that like button, subscribe for more naval history that must never be forgotten, and turn on notifications, because these sailors gave everything so we could live in freedom. Have you visited the USS Arizona Memorial? What did it mean to you? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's make sure December 7th, 1941 is never forgotten.